So actually, now I hadn't instantly, just because I said that, I instantly had an idea of what to do with this. So I'm just gonna go ahead and do another little trick. So something like that, for like this, for example. I'm gonna make some small what's it called? Yeah, like cutouts or something like that. So we take this and I'm gonna get rid of these. So I'm just gonna use the merge tool and then just drag a bit so it merges the smallest words, or like the closest words. Shows those, and then I'll just bevel these out, and that will automatically shade relatively well. That's the beauty of the rounded shader. I'll just do a quick cut out of in this mesh for this thing here. And just let these select this here and use the bend tool. Okay, it's gonna look pretty cool, I think. And here we have like a shading problem. So what you can do then is, like, there's several ways around this. Either you can just, work with the polygons until you get rid of it, or you can, copy paste it away. I'm just gonna do the simplest solution and just assign a new smoothing group to it. And there's like it's a bit cumbersome unless you've set it up properly, because you just have to go into geometry, polygon, and then do set smoothing group here, and then you can just put it as whatever. I just have that mapped to a hotkey, so I can just quickly set a smoothing group, because it's a bit of a pain to do it like through the menus like that. And I do that sometimes with these kind of meshes just to get rid of those smoothing issues, because if you're gonna have curved surfaces and it's gonna triangulate, like, your choices are either that you clean it up, or that you leave it there, or that you like simply just avoid doing the whatever you were doing. Since I'm not interested in cleaning up the mesh unless I absolutely have to, I just fix it like that. So this is starting to look pretty okay. So I'm gonna do some more small cutouts here. And of course, after this, we're gonna add more detail using our little kit that we had. This is just the first looking out stage, kind of. So here I want a little thing. So I'm just gonna select all of these. Just build them like that. And just to make this a bit more interesting, I'm gonna do a cutout. A lot of the time when I'm doing these kind of things, I'm doing things that on purpose are a bit annoying to do without booleans. So I'm forcing myself to use booleans in like ways that would be hard and annoying to model otherwise. Just because it's just like a good way to I'm just gonna make sure this is flat. It's a good way to do some design choices that are less common in like CG art, because quite often people try to take the easiest way with models, because you know some things are really hard to build, so they skip out on those. So I'm trying on purpose to make some things that are like a real pain to make without booleans. So for example, let's see, I can take this one here, just gonna hide it, just gonna move this forward a bit, just gonna convert all of it to edges and just like this. Make this one a bit softer. And I'm going to turn on the clone tool. Just increase the number of pieces like this. And I'm going to see if this works. Hide it again. That kind of does. It's a bit too small though. Make them a bit more visible. Move them down a bit. There. And then we can do a cutout on this one as well, just so it matches the shape. It's so easy for me to just get stuck, you know, forever noodling like this. Probably want to bring this forward a little bit, so there's some volume left in it. I'll do a cutout, and then let's do one more like this. Let's get some smoothing errors, but you're probably not gonna notice later. Right. So the next piece I want to tackle is this one here. First of all, it doesn't have enough sides, so I'm just gonna go in and address that. And I want to make some shapes just to break off the simplicity of the so it's not just like a cylinder, and I want it to merge better with this one here, so I'm just gonna do something like this. And this will double down as something that the sides can be attached to. So now I could do something pretty crazy here. Let's see. If I just take this and build it out a bit. There. Just gonna hide that. This might not work so well. Let's see. Just experimenting a bit, which is the nice thing with booleans. So I'm just going to take that and do a cutout on this one and see how that works. So now I have a piece that is aligned to the surface of this one without actually having to do anything with it. That could work. You lose a bit of the mesh flow though, so you can't really, it's pretty annoying to model on, so I'll just delete that instead. It's one way to do it. Just gonna use the cut tool here instead and use the multi slice here. So I can actually cut through several. Just delete that. It's a bit thick. Let's do something like that. You need to take this one here and do the same thing as doing the first one, and just give it a few more spans. Just mirror this over. And I also want to do a cutout on this cylinder here. Center it. So I'm just gonna go ahead and hide these, so let's see what I'm doing. So I want this one to be too big. Could be a bit bigger though. Yeah, it's fine. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to take this mesh that I did the balloon with, I'm just going to copy it. Let's see which one was it. There. Put it here and do a boolean on this one too. They both match up. Get rid of this one and mirror it again. Okay, we have some more interesting shapes up there. So now I'm going to move on to this part down here and detail that out a little bit. So I noticed I made this one way too big. Just gonna go in and small bevel. Just break it up a little bit. And one good thing with using the rounded shaders that you can use when you use things like these simple bevels and so on, they really quickly work rather well to detail things up, because you get the soft shading and so on. So I'm gonna add the trigger. Just gonna make a box and then just use the loop slice and just make some more subdivisions and then just bend it. Or actually, first I want to step back. I'm actually gonna do this first. Well, now I'm gonna bend it. Right. It's a bit thicker than I wanted. Bevel this one out a bit. And this is also like something that's very important to learn, is the Modo's action centers. So if you're doing something like this, hide. And this is the automatic one, and this is the selection one. So you actually align the widgets to the surface normal. Extremely handy. So for this one, I'm just gonna do a little quick like this, and then I'm just going to punch a few holes in it. I'm just going to take a couple of cylinders and use my the same booleans I used before, my Seneca's quick booleans, together with my little macro. The stuff that my macro does is pretty much outdated, so I used to get around some limitations in earlier versions of Modo, mostly, so you don't really need it. There. Okay. And I'll do some more things to merge these two plates a bit better. So just gonna experiment a little bit. Good thing with this workflow is that it allows you to experiment like a lot, because you can just quickly do this. I wish it was non-destructive, but you know. Maybe something like that. And then I noticed another problem, and it's that, you know, I have an intersection going on here when this one is animating here, so I want to quickly address that. So when this piece here is moving, it's intersecting with this one, so and I want to have a bit more complex intersection between those two, so I'm just gonna do a quick cutout in this one as well. Like that. And I'm gonna show you another little trick, another way to use booleans. So far I've been using the cutout method mostly, but I'm gonna show you some other tricks. So instead of using the just the subtract, I'm going to use union and subtract combined. So I'm going to add something that mirrors this shape here a bit. This one doesn't look very nice. Right, maybe like this. So instead of just running like a cutout here, or just running a union, I'm actually running a cutout and a union. So a union would only leave me with this piece, and a cutout would just leave me with the whole. So what I'm doing is that I'm copy pasting the geometry and do both after each other, and then combine them. That way I get this cutout here, which looks like it doesn't do anything, but when you actually go into rendering and you look at it, you see that you still have the rounded shader in effect, so you actually do get a seam. So this allows us to really quickly make seams. And of course, if you want to do something more with it, we're really quick, something like this. Take do something like this, and then a cutout, which, you know, click this when rendered. So that's a very, very handy script. Or it's a macro. You just do those two things after each other. So it's not anything complex really. It's just convenient instead of doing those manually after each other. Right. So let's see. Let's move on. See if we can do something about this one. Let's level this one out. Make these look like they belong together a bit more. So I'm gonna make a detail pass on all of this later. For now, I'm just putting in like these shapes that are not related to the, you know, the booleans, like the detail booleans and floaters that we'll add later. So now it's only the more simple, like base geometry that we're gonna use later on. I feel that this part is a bit too flat still, so let's make some more random details here. This doesn't sit on the seam. Bad thing with these kind of seams and so on is because they're invisible when you're just working normally, because the rounded shader is not on, so it can get confusing if you don't keep track of where they are. So it's going to jump back and forth a little bit here. Because that is how I design things. So here I wanted to make sure that this one is not clipping so much. Just going to cut that part out and add another small piece here just to something like that. I have to make sure that these don't intersect either. As they currently do. I think I have to do a cutout in this one as well. I'll just go to this layer and do that. So right now it's just cutting into the this part here. Oops, let's have to pull this one up a bit. Right, go back to this one. Start cleaning it up a little bit maybe. So when I'm doing this kind of modeling, I'm actually using, as you may have noticed, like very few tools. It's mostly bevel, extrude, scale, move, so on. I don't really, when doing something like this, where it's most of the design is actually, you know, unique, and there's not so much cloning going on and so on. I actually don't use so many of Modo's tools because you don't really need to. Okay, so just gonna do the bevel on this one here. So to hollow out this part. Do it a little bit first. Also, another thing I often do before cutting is that if there's something like this, like I know I want maybe to do a loop on this one, I add a loop before I do the boolean, because now it's still like a loop. I can still add things, but once same thing here. But once I do the boolean, it will be an n-gon, and it can't do a correct loop through an n-gon. So I always make sure to add, you know, especially the cylinders, I add some extra loops before I do the boolean, just so that I know that it's easy to grab a loop later on. Because otherwise you realize that, oh wait, there are no loops, and then you have to manually cut one, and it's boring. So I try to do that beforehand. No, that didn't look good. Let's just punch it. Punch a hole instead. Soften this up beforehand. Right, that's better. And here goes the handle, so this one will just quick extrude and grab the material from this one. That's another of Seneca's scripts. Grab and apply material. It's also, you know, very handy when you're doing especially scenes with many materials and you don't want to manually find the materials and apply them yourselves. You just grab the one. Question is, what kind of design we're gonna have for this one? It's gonna be inspired by some World War I shotguns. But I do want it to be grounded or like attached to the gun in some way. I just want it to be a block of wood. So I'm just gonna use another one of my macros. So I have a, it's gonna run a boolean and then leave a copy of the cutter left as well. So I have that to play with. I can just scale it down a little bit so I get like a tiny little gap so they don't look perfectly merged. And also I get some weird results here. Why? Alright. Just gonna undo all that. This one wasn't closed. If you don't have a closed mesh, it can't delete the inside, so I'm actually just gonna do this beforehand. So it doesn't matter anyway. Okay. There, and then scale it down. Let's grab this metal here. I can look at it in the preview renderer. That works alright, except some detailing needed.